thought you'd be dying to see me.
What is going on, everyone? We're back with another In Search of Darkness review. I am Depraved.
I'm Hellcat.
And together we are
Hella Depraved.
And in this video, we're reviewing 1981's Ghost Story. Before we jump into this, just wanted to run over some things. Ghost Story, ratings-wise, has a 29% critic review. That's with 31 reviews. And an audience score of 5,000 plus ratings at 44%.
Interesting.
And it does appear the budget of the movie was $13.5 million, ended up making $23.4 million.
Did decently. Okay.
And it looks like it was directed by John Irvin. Screenplay was done by Lawrence D. Cohen, based on a book called Ghost Story by Peter Straub. Produced by Burt Weisbord. And music was done by Felipe Sarday.
Right.
Edited by Tom Rolfe, distributed by Universal Pictures.
So we got some interesting characters in this in terms of cast.
Was released December 18th, 1981.
Nice. Okay. So, yes.
Hit him with the plot, baby. Hit him with the plot.
This is an interesting story. So we kind of start off with a... well, it's almost like Are You Afraid of the Dark in terms of like the Midnight...
Shudder Club.
Yeah, but it's... I mean, Midnight Society sounds so much better, doesn't it? But they're telling ghost stories. And...
it looks like it's a monthly meeting where one person
it is a
tells
monthly
a story
meeting, yeah.
each month.
Again, monthly is just... But they are retired...
Old people.
Older gentlemen.
Okay, they're not all retired. One's still the mayor.
I meant in terms of, like, age. They're up there. So maybe once a month is, like, all their heart can take. Otherwise, they've got to take, a whole bunch of medication. So they're telling ghost stories. It turns out that one of the gentlemen has two sons. They're twins. And pretty much immediately after their meeting, one of his sons has this funky accident where he's talking to a chick in his bed who is not moving. And
which I thought he murdered her.
Right, we thought, yeah, definitely. We definitely thought that he was the cause of her not moving. But at some point she must pop up and go boo, even though she's ice cold, and she does pop up and go boo. Because he falls out the window of his penthouse and
by the way,
splats.
This stretch of 4 movies that we're doing, I have seen more male Wang.
Yeah, well, it was
horror.
It was a thing.
In a 4
equal
movie
opportunity,
stretch.
I mean, you don't see much.
I'm
because
not.
It was also,
I'm not like complaining.
It was pre.
I just wasn't expecting
manscaping, so you don't see a whole bunch.
Right.
Tushes, definitely.
A lot of butts as well.
I'm okay with that. So anyway, it's marked as. He ends up calling his other son, the twin, to come home because of this accident that occurred.
Right. And
it is shown that there is a bit more strain in this twin and his father's relationship. But the dad then goes and jumps off a bridge.
Or at least they make you think he does.
Well, I mean...
He was scared off of a bridge.
We see a ghost scare him off the bridge.
Right.
Everybody in town thinks he's so upset over the death of his other son that he commits an unaliving ceremony. So, in the course of trying to discover what actually happened to his father, and knowing that his twin was actually murdered versus an accident, this young twin uncovers the Chowder Society, discovers that these 4 friends, his father and his 3 friends that have been telling ghost stories all these years, actually have a deep, deep secret that they've been keeping. It relates to him because he finally joins the Chowder Society and tells them a story, which is the price for admittance into the group. And his story is of this woman that he met at the school he was teaching at.
Who seemed to have already known his name.
States away, yeah. Already knew who he was, and he assumed it's because he was a professor there. Dates her, falls madly in love,
Gets engaged.
Gets engaged, totally like just ignores his responsibilities as a professor, is like going downhill in terms of the system, blah blah blah.
And then she goes psycho Karen.
Well, and then he realizes that she's ice cold and that there's just these issues, and when he tries to discuss them with her, she goes psycho. And so he calls it off. Next thing he knows, his twin brother is engaged to the same chick. And
States away.
Yeah, and her whole plot line is that she needs them to marry her in a ceremony in the village that they grew up in.
Yep.
In front of everybody. So, and then his brother's accident occurs because he has warned his brother. He's like, there's something wrong with her. She's ice cold. There's all these issues. And his brother's like, nah, you're full of it. But then he obviously realized something was off and is unalived. So during the course of this conversation, the 3 remaining live Chowder Society men realize they need to come clean. Turns out that back in the day when they were young, you know, they all fell in love.
One of them died. That's what made him decide to go ahead and come clean to the kid.
Well, yeah,
which one was it? Because it was the one. So you had the dude that jumped off the bridge. The guy had the heart attack because his pills ended up going missing.
Right, she took him.
And it was the ghost had taken him.
Right.
And he was. I don't know if it was a heart attack or something else.
No, he had heart problems. She had mentioned that he shouldn't be telling ghost stories because of his heart and stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, so he ends up dying, and that is what spurs the other 2 to finally tell the son of the first guy,
right?
Hey.
So, yeah, they all fell in love with this one chick, and after most of a summer spent flirting heavily all together with her,
she was passing them around.
They one way or another. I think it was kind of mutual. And it looked like it was kind of an agreed upon thing at first. But jealousy reared its ugly head one drunken night. The guys were all drunk. They show up at her house in the middle of the night. She's sober. And they get ornery. And they want to dance with her. They all want their turn. And they end up getting really angry at each other, at her, pushing her. She falls down, hits her head, and they think they've killed her. And one of the dudes is in medical school. He is not a doctor at that point. He's in school and says that he's positive she's dead. So instead of alerting the authorities, because all of them have these main job goals in mind, presidential stuff, they decide they're going to bury the deed. They put her in her car. They drive it into a lake, a river, something like that.
Whatever it is.
And as it is sinking, they see her pop up in the back and realize that she was just unconscious and watch as she drowns. And it turns out this whole time the ghost has been seeking retribution, and there's some crazy people running around she's trying to kill him with. There's the sons that she's tried to seduce to. I mean, like, it's kind of weird. But that is the main plot. I
feel like it's also kind of all over the place, and I almost feel like I should buy you the book so you can read it and tell me what all actually happens.
Yeah. So at the very end, they help the sheriff find the car and uncover the car and her corpse, and
she disappears after that.
The ghost disappears. Yeah. Okay. So, on to the next.
All right, so giving you the casting rundown. I believe this is, I could be wrong, but one of Fred Astaire's last movies?
Might have been. Fred Astaire was in this, though. Yes, but Fred Astaire.
Fred Astaire was in this movie. It's definitely the newest movie I've seen him in.
Right. That's what I want to say. Yeah.
But
I know he doesn't dance, unfortunately.
Right. A little too old for that at this point.
Aw, you're never too old to dance.
Good.
Okay, anyway.
But Fred Astaire plays Ricky Hawthorne. Tim Choate plays young Ricky Hawthorne. Melvin Douglas plays Dr. John Jaffrey. Mark Chamberlain plays a young John Jaffrey. Douglas Fairbanks Jr. is Edward Charles Winderly. Kurt Johnson plays a young Wonderly. John Houseman is Sears James, and Ken Olin is a young Sears James. Craig Wasson is Don or David Wonderly.
So he's both of the twins. Yeah.
Yep. Patricia Neal plays Stella Hawthorne. Alice Krieg is Eva Gali Alma Mobley.
The ghost.
And then Jacqueline Brooks is Millie Jaffrey. So I can't help myself.
Right.
And I don't know who the rest of these guys are. Yeah. Guys and gals are. But that's the main build cast there.
And I will say, they are all really good actors and actresses. Really good.
Yeah, the acting, this is actually
For
might be
as discombobulated as the plot sounds, and it is. It's not just us. It's really good.
It's one of the better acted movies we've seen.
Yeah, they're not over dramatic like
like when we get to one of the newest movie.
But this one was very well done. Very well done.
It really was. Acted wise, I mean overall it's a pretty decent movie.
I highly recommend this movie.
Yeah. I highly recommend watching it at least once.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I might buy her the book and have her tell me if anything's really different or if it's just as because she reads quicker than I do, way quicker.
Yeah. So
and special effects wise, there's not much to really write home about. It doesn't have the greatest, doesn't have the worst. It seems to be very basic type of effects that they used in the 80s.
I mean, because they're zombie ghost-esque scenes, you know, it's kind of...
That was still before you could really do ghosts...
See-through, transparent.
See-through and very easily.
But I don't know that they wanted that. I think that they wanted the drowned victim sort of like dripping, waxy look. And they accomplished it. It just wasn't like, it's nothing to write home about. It's not horrible, but
they do a couple of moments where, like, you know, the skeleton, it'll show a skeleton sitting there talking or screaming or whatever, and it's dripping with water and its skin's falling off of it.
Because she drowned, and, you know, I mean, it is what it is.
One of the coolest moments, though, and I will absolutely give them props for this, was when they pull the car out of the river. And they open the door, and she falls out. And she's not like a full-blown skeleton when she falls out. She's still got her skin hanging off of her.
Yeah, she's
But when
goopy.
when it hits, the skin separates and falls off of her body, revealing the skeleton. And it was just the right amount of disgusting. I was like, this is fantastic. I don't know how realistic it would be to a legit, like, drowned corpse.
I mean, like, they are going to have that sort of waxy builds up and the bloat, and I mean, but she had been there for so long that I don't even know that there would be much skin left.
Right.
Because small fish and predators could get in there and just disintegration. So, you know, because we're talking 50 years, I think it took for her to come back. So it's some obscene amount of time.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's hit him with their.
I feel like this suffers a little bit from the disjointedness, and it's not the filmmakers necessarily. Again, I haven't read the books, so I don't know how they translated it to the screen, but I feel like, I don't know, I barely touched on the fact that she uses a couple of escaped crazies to go after the Chowder Society men.
But they literally have nothing to do with any story anywhere other than she's just using them.
Right. So I'm saying like I feel like there were elements to this that were unnecessary.
Well, I don't think they're unnecessary. I think they're never really touched on enough to make sense.
Right. Okay. I think that there's plenty of that in this movie.
The two people that were sent to kill her very passingly mentioned something about some sort of ritual or like secret worship organization they're in.
Well, they're occultists. We know, yeah.
But it's very flighty in
Right.
terms of the conversation it happens in. Like
So-
blink and you'll miss it type.
She definitely okay. So the crazies are necessary in terms of like the manipulation in getting the Chowder Society gentlemen in the right position to actually unalive them and shock them and whatever. But then it seems like the ghost at certain parts is unable to affect the physical world, which is why she's using the crazies. But then at other parts, she's a completely solid human being that you know,
Is sleeping with people.
is actually dating this twins and, you know, appears physically and, you know, so on and so forth. So it's sort of, that's where it suffers. She's neither a ghost nor alive, and it's never explained how she's either. And so that's where this whole storyline falls apart for me.
And we also don't know exactly why she's going after the kids of this guy.
The kids.
I know why they're using.
know-
I know why she's using them to get back into the town. That makes sense.
But she died in the town, so why is she needing to get back in the town? Like, how did she ever leave the town? Is where
that's
like, where did that happen?
like, so I understand her using them, and I don't think she's using them to get back into the town. I think she's using them because she's wanting to stage this crazy thing to reveal everything that had happened.
Well, yeah, that's
So,
obvious. She
she's
wants
like,
the
if I-
entire town.
If
to
I
realize-
marry one of the kids in front of the entire town and everybody's there, and then everybody, and then the four guys who know who I am see
who
me.
are like the four pillars of this town, yeah.
Right. So
Their
that all
crime
makes
will be revealed.
that all makes sense. But then it's like,
But then how is she?
why did she kill the brother that ended up falling out of the window? And she definitely killed him. It wasn't like
Oh no, she killed him.
now she didn't physically push him, no, but she popped up, did the fucking scary skull face,
Chased him, sort of.
and he falls out the window. And it's like, but that was your ticket into doing what it
Right.
was you wanted to do.
Right,
So why did you all of a sudden just decide, you know what, no, fuck it, I'm killing this guy?
right. But also, how is she physical in some parts, but not in others?
Right.
But like, so anyway, there are parts that are just sort of like not ever fully explained. We know why she's going after the Chowder Society. They killed her and then hid it.
Right. And then, this is why I hate modern movie watchers. And I don't necessarily mean horror movies specifically, but modern movie watchers in general, right? Do you know how many times I've heard people complain about exposition in movies?
Right. But this one
And
needed
this
it.
is one of those situations where it's like, man, I really could have used some. Because there are some things that just need to be explained.
Right.
And I'm okay if it happens in just general conversation at this point.
Me too.
Because, like, I'm never one of those people that feels any exposition is needless. Even if there's one nugget of information that pertains to the development of the entire
Don't
story.
do an info dump, but like I need a little. So, I mean, like the ending was wrapped up with a pretty bow. Two of the Chowder Society make it. One of the twins makes it. Both cult members, well, escaped crazies, and the ghost are all deceased, laid to rest. But like explanation wise, it's lacking. It's
Right.
lacking. So unfortunately, because I really do think that this was extremely well done, and I really do like this story quite a bit, that means that I'm giving this, I think, probably a 3. What did I choose to?
Top secrets.
Yeah, a 3 top secrets out of 5. I almost want to go lower.
I want you guys to understand this is the hardest movie her and I have had in terms of picking what we're going to use to rank
Right.
it with. Because this also is one of the first movies in this entire thing, in the entire list of 80s movies, that doesn't have like that standout thing.
It's not a slasher. It's not,
that-
yeah.
So I went with 2.5 skulls.
Yeah, like I said, I almost took it down. But I really do enjoy the acting and like the storyline, and I just
it's worth watching for the acting alone. The acting is fantastic,
and the story is engrossing. Like I was just, this was one that at the end I was like, what is that the end? Like no explanation on how this happened. Like I was pissed when it was done.
It's like not quite as bad as what we thought. What was the ending that we really hated? Agnes?
Oh, yeah. That just, you're like, wait, what?
You're mid-conversation. They don't even finish the conversation. It goes into credits. Like, it's not quite that, but, like...
It's pretty bad.
You still, like, the guy never leaves the house in terms of, you never get to watch the main guy leave the house that he was stuck in at the end.
Right.
It's like she disappears because her body was brought out of the river.
So you never know what happens to the two guys that are still alive that were part of her death.
And then it's just over.
Yeah, it's just, it's
like, oh, okay.
They never find the bodies of the crazies. It's just...
It's a rough one. It's a rough one.
Actually, and we also don't know, I don't think, if one of the other Chowder Society people dies, because he has the car crash with the crazy.
There's one guy that has a car crash
with a crazy in the back, and like you see him kind of, I think, get out or something, like, but like you're like, okay, we never finished that. Is he okay?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It definitely suffers from
unfinished thought.
Unfinished business. Yeah. So
this movie alone is a ghost.
I'm still going to give it a 3 because I still really, really like it. I would watch it again. I'd probably be pissed all over again. But I would like to read the book to see if it's...
I will 100% say, though, it is really weird seeing Fred Astaire this old. Because every video you see of him used, he's, like, dancing and enjoying himself. And, like, he's, like, a heartthrob.
This one, he's...
And, like, in this one, he's got a cane, and he's...
I mean, and he's also kind of...
Definitely in his 80s.
What is the word I'm looking for? Skittish?
Right.
Yeah. Great actor.
Great acting. And we're all going to get there.
I really like the actress that played the ghost lady and everything. Like, again...
She did such a good job.
This makes me mad because everything was so perfect, and I think the filming was perfect. And where they filmed it was gorgeous.
This is one of those... So again, I always have this like little mental graph of how I rank movies, and it's always like built on 3 pillars, right? You've got like the story, you've got acting, the special effects, and you've got the acting. And this is one of those that is like the special effects and the acting overlap and are great, and then the story is just kind of like up here, kind of just you smell like an asshole.
You must have farted when you popped up. That's awful, kid.
What
are
that's
we
a bad
feeding
one.
you? What are She just totally ghosted us, guys. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so watch it. I do recommend watching it. Absolutely. It's worth it. Yeah. That's gonna do it.
All right, we love you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, next time. Cat people.
Yeah. Meet us back.
So
we're cat people, obviously. Until she farts on us.
That too. Bye.